Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive into today's top news. It's Sunday, February 2nd, 2025, and we've got a lot to cover today. We'll be looking at President Trump's new tariffs and the rising influence of AI, particularly that new Chinese app DeepSeek, and how to navigate personal finance in our current world of market uncertainty.
A lot to unpack there. Sounds like a full plate.
Yeah, where do we even begin?
Let's start with those tariffs. President Trump's announcement of new tariffs on imports from Canada, Mexico, and China.
Right.
This has the potential to really ignite a trade war.
Oh, yeah.
A trade war is basically like a back and forth between countries. They increase taxes on each other's goods, trying to protect their own industries.
Right.
But often it ends up hurting everyone involved.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like cutting off your nose to spite your face. And we're already seeing immediate reactions. Canada's retaliating with Ontario pulling U.S. alcohol products off shelves.
Yeah, and the global auto industry is bracing for impact, too. There's a 25% tariff on vehicles imported from Mexico and Canada.
So how would this impact someone looking to buy a new car, say, later this year?
They're likely going to see a pretty significant increase in prices, pretty basic economics. When the cost of producing or importing a good rises, that cost is passed on to the consumer.
Unfortunately, and it's not just cars. Industry leaders are warning consumers to brace themselves for price hikes on everyday items, too. They're even saying things like, tariffs are not the answer.
Yeah, they have a point. While the intention of tariffs might be to bolster American industries, they often lead to a lot of unintended consequences, like higher prices for consumers and potential retaliatory actions from other countries.
Yeah, it seems a little short-sighted. Speaking of shaking up the market, let's move on to AI, specifically the rise of that Chinese app, DeepSeek. It's gaining a lot of popularity. What makes it so fascinating?
Well, DeepSeek is making waves because it's offering AI services at a much lower cost than its American competitors. Companies like Amazon and Alphabet. And this is raising some interesting questions, like, have those U.S. companies potentially overspent on their AI development?
So this could actually shift the balance of power in the tech world.
It's certainly possible. DeepSeek's lower-cost model could really disrupt the market. It might force some of those established players to rethink their strategies, and we could even see more competitive pricing for consumers.
Interesting. But there are also some concerns about DeepSeek, right? About its data security, particularly for millions of Americans.
Yeah, data privacy is becoming a really big concern in our increasingly digital world. It's crucial for users to really understand how their data is being collected, used, and protected, especially when it comes to apps developed by companies in different countries. They might have different regulations.
Absolutely. Have you downloaded DeepSeek? Are you reconsidering using it given those security concerns? It's definitely something to think about.
It really is. And while DeepSeek's data security is definitely under scrutiny, the potential of AI in other areas is being celebrated. For example, LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman just launched an AI-driven drug discovery startup, which highlights AI's potential to completely revolutionize healthcare.
That's pretty amazing to think about. Faster drug discovery means new treatments and cures. But what about the other side of the coin? Are there any ethical concerns surrounding AI in healthcare?
Well, one major concern is the potential for bias in algorithms. If these AI systems are trained on data sets that reflect existing inequalities in healthcare, they could end up perpetuating those biases, leading to disparities in treatment and outcomes.
That's an important point. We need to ensure that AI is developed and implemented responsibly. We need to address potential biases and ethical implications from the very beginning.
Exactly. And another concern is the potential for job displacement. While AI can enhance efficiency, it's important to consider the impact on healthcare professionals and ensure a smooth transition as AI becomes more integrated into the field.
So, it's about finding the right balance. Using AI as a powerful tool to improve healthcare while safeguarding against potential ethical pitfalls.
Precisely.
Now let's shift gears to a topic that hits a little closer to home for many people: personal finances. The recent Los Angeles wildfires have left many victims facing immense financial uncertainty. This really underscores the need for disaster preparedness, not just in terms of physical safety, but financial security as well.
It's a stark reminder that unexpected events can have a devastating impact on our finances.
Yeah, for sure. Have you considered the financial implications of a potential disaster?
It's something we should all think about. Having an emergency fund, adequate insurance coverage, and a plan for protecting important documents. These are all crucial steps in preparing for the unexpected.
Absolutely. And it's not just about preparing for disasters. Many people are anxious about their long-term financial security, especially retirement. We came across a story about a 59-year-old who's worried about retirement with only $45,000 in their 401k.
This really highlights the importance of planning for retirement early and consistently. It can seem daunting, especially later in life. But there are options even with limited savings. Adjusting your budget, exploring part-time work, and considering different investment strategies can make a difference.
You mentioned investment strategies. There's been a lot of buzz around new ETFs that claim to multiply stock market dividends. How do those work, and what are the risks involved?
Well, ETFs, or exchange-traded funds, are essentially baskets of stocks that you can buy and sell like individual stocks. The ones aiming to multiply dividends use a variety of strategies, often focusing on high dividend-paying companies or employing leverage.
Leverage.
Yeah.
Could you explain that a bit further for us?
Sure. Leverage basically involves borrowing money to amplify potential returns. While this can magnify gains, it also increases risk. If the underlying investments perform poorly, losses are amplified as well.
So it's a higher risk, higher reward scenario. It's important to understand those risks before jumping in.
Absolutely. It's crucial to do your research, understand the specific ETF's strategy, and then assess whether it aligns with your risk tolerance and financial goals.
That's sound advice for any investment.
Yeah.
But getting back to the broader economic picture, these tariffs imposed by President Trump are causing a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, there is significant development, particularly for industries like automotive, which rely heavily on international trade. That 25% tariff on vehicles imported from Mexico and Canada is a major blow.
So what are the potential long-term implications of these tariffs, not just for the auto industry, but for the overall economy?
Well, in the long run, tariffs can lead to decreased efficiency and higher prices for consumers. They can disrupt supply chains, making it more expensive for businesses to produce goods. This can stifle economic growth and potentially lead to job losses.
It really does sound like a lose-lose situation for everyone. Are there any arguments in favor of these tariffs, though? Why would a government implement them?
Well, proponents of tariffs argue that they protect domestic industries and jobs from foreign competition. The idea is to encourage consumers to buy American-made products. However, history shows very mixed results when it comes to tariffs.
Like what? Can you give us a historical example?
Sure. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930, it's often cited as a cautionary tale. It significantly raised tariffs on thousands of imported goods. While the intention was to protect American jobs during the Great Depression, it's widely believed to have actually exacerbated the economic downturn.
So rather than boosting the American economy, it backfired.
Yeah, it contributed to a decline in international trade, retaliatory tariffs from other countries, and ultimately a deeper global recession. It serves as a reminder of the potential pitfalls of protectionist trade policies.
It seems like navigating these complex economic issues requires a delicate balance.
It does. And all of these economic challenges are happening alongside rapid technological advancements like the rise of AI. It's fascinating how interconnected everything is.
It really is.
Yeah.
And speaking of AI, we were just discussing the potential of AI-driven healthcare. Reid Hoffman's new venture is just one example of how AI is transforming the field. It's mind-boggling to think about the possibility.
Right. Hey, imagine a future where AI can analyze your medical history, lifestyle, and genetic data to create a personalized health plan. It could predict potential risks and recommend preventative measures.
It sounds like science fiction. What about AI-powered diagnostics? Could AI replace human doctors altogether?
Well, AI can definitely analyze medical images, detect patterns, and assist in diagnoses, potentially with greater accuracy than humans in certain cases. However, replacing human doctors entirely raises a lot of ethical concerns.
It's one thing to have AI as a tool to help doctors,
Yeah.
but it's quite another to have it making life or death decisions.
Exactly. While AI can certainly enhance healthcare, it's crucial to remember that it's just a tool. The responsibility for patient care should remain with human professionals. They provide empathy, critical thinking, and the ability to consider the nuances of individual cases, which AI may not be able to replicate.
So it's about finding that sweet spot, leveraging AI's strengths while acknowledging its limitations and maintaining the human element in healthcare.
Exactly.
And let's not forget the potential for AI to democratize healthcare, especially in underserved communities. Imagine AI-powered telemedicine platforms connecting patients with specialists remotely, regardless of location.
That could be a game changer for people with limited access to healthcare.
It seems like we're on the cusp of a healthcare revolution driven by AI and other technological advancements.
We are, but it's important to approach this revolution with both enthusiasm and caution. AI's impact on healthcare, the economy, and our lives is complex and constantly evolving.
And it's a story that we'll continue to follow closely right here on The Deep Dive. But with that said, I think it's time to take a closer look at some other noteworthy news stories making headlines today.
It's a lighthearted tradition that marks the midpoint of winter, but beyond the folklore, the reality is that many parts of the country are still experiencing harsh winter conditions.
Yeah, so bundle up and brace yourselves for more chilly days ahead. Now, for those dreaming of warmer weather and perhaps a new home, the most popular U.S. zip code for home buyers is a fast-growing suburb in Houston, Texas.
Interesting. This highlights the continued migration patterns we're seeing with people and businesses flocking to areas with lower costs of living, warmer climates, and job opportunities.
It's a trend worth watching as it shapes demographics and real estate markets across the country. Speaking of trends, the auto industry is undergoing a major transformation with the shift towards electric vehicles. Honda just announced a $1 billion investment in Ohio for a new EV production facility.
That's a significant investment. It signals Honda's commitment to electric vehicles and its anticipation of growing demand in the U.S. market.
It's also a positive sign for Ohio's economy, creating jobs and boosting manufacturing in the state.
Yeah, it's an interesting development considering the ongoing trade tensions and uncertainties surrounding the auto industry.
It seems companies are adapting and making strategic decisions based on long-term trends despite the current challenges.
Indeed. Now let's move on to a story that's making waves in the travel industry. Royal Caribbean is entering the river cruise market, a move that's been well received by Wall Street.
What's driving this expansion and what does it mean for travelers?
Well, river cruising has been gaining popularity in recent years. It appeals to a different demographic than traditional ocean cruises. It offers a more intimate and immersive experience with smaller ships navigating inland waterways and focusing on cultural destinations.
So Royal Caribbean is tapping into a new market segment, expanding its portfolio and potentially attracting a wider range of customers.
Precisely. It's a strategic move that reflects the evolving travel landscape and consumer preferences.
Well, it seems like we've covered a lot of ground today, from international trade wars and AI disruptions to personal finance advice and noteworthy developments across various industries.
Yeah, we've explored the complexities of today's world, highlighting the interconnectedness of global events, technological advancements, and the choices we make as individuals.
It's been an insightful journey, and I hope our listeners feel more informed and equipped to navigate these turbulent times.
As we wrap up this deep dive, we encourage you to stay curious, stay engaged, and keep asking questions. The world is constantly changing, and staying informed is more crucial than ever.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and join us again for another deep dive into the news that matters most. So let's turn our attention to some lighter news, shall we? Punxsutawney Phil, the legendary groundhog, saw his shadow, predicting 6 more weeks of winter.
Oh no, 6 more weeks.
No.
Well, it's a lighthearted tradition that marks the midpoint of winter. But beyond the folklore, many parts of the country are still experiencing some pretty harsh winter conditions.
So bundle up and brace yourselves for more chilly days ahead. Now, for those dreaming of warmer weather and maybe even a new home, the most popular U.S. zip code for home buyers is a fast-growing suburb in Houston, Texas.
Interesting. This highlights the continued migration patterns we're seeing. People and businesses are flocking to areas with lower costs of living, warmer climates, and more job opportunities.
It's definitely a trend worth watching, especially as it shapes demographics and real estate markets across the country. Speaking of trends, the auto industry is going through a major transformation right now, the shift towards electric vehicles. Honda just announced a $1 billion investment in Ohio for a new EV production facility.
Wow, that's a big investment. It really signals Honda's commitment to electric vehicles and its anticipation of growing demand in the U.S. market.
And it's a positive sign for Ohio's economy too, right? Creating jobs and boosting manufacturing in the state.
Absolutely. It is interesting, though, considering those ongoing trade tensions and uncertainties surrounding the auto industry.
It seems like companies are adapting and making strategic decisions based on long-term trends, despite the current challenges.
They are. And now for a story making waves in the travel industry. Royal Caribbean is entering the river cruise market, a move that's been well received by Wall Street.
So what's driving this expansion, and what does it mean for travelers?
Well, river cruising has been gaining popularity in recent years. It appeals to a slightly different demographic than traditional ocean cruises, offering a more intimate and immersive experience. Smaller ships navigating inland waterways and focusing on cultural destinations.
So Royal Caribbean is tapping into a new market segment, expanding its portfolio and potentially attracting a wider range of customers.
Exactly. It's a strategic move that reflects the evolving travel landscape and consumer preferences.
Well, we certainly covered a lot of ground today, From international trade wars and AI disruptions to personal finance advice and noteworthy developments across various industries.
We have. It's been quite a journey exploring the complexities of today's world, highlighting the interconnectedness of global events, technological advancements, and the choices we make as individuals.
It really has. And I, for one, feel more informed already. I hope our listeners do too. It feels like we're living in some pretty turbulent times.
We are. But it's important to stay curious, stay engaged, and keep asking questions. The world is constantly changing, and staying informed is crucial.
Oh, couldn't agree more. Well, that's all the time we have for today. But we'll be back again next time with another deep dive into the news that matters most. Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and thanks for listening.